All right. Coach Young is my boy, and he's our hoop extraordinaire, analyst, insider, guru. I know you've watched and listened to Aisle Seat, or the Betting Above the Rim podcast. I get so used to calling Carver High's Aisle Seat podcast the founder. I get crossed up. I want to show you something, Coach. As you know, I won another championship last night, number 12, and I just wanted to pull up. Because what they do is they show my season. I barely played. These guys are all, they don't come out of the game. They're all superstars. They never want to come out of the game ever. They're never tired. Meanwhile, I'm in a game 4 minutes in. I'm like, come in and get me. I'm dying over here. And then when I go over 165 with my heart rate, I'm like, get in. I need a break. And then last night I knew I wasn't playing, so I brought rum to the game in a mug hidden. It was a great idea. But anyway, and people say, oh, you shouldn't be driving. I'm 240 pounds. One rum's not going to get me buzzed. Let me tell you something, honey. I need 15 of them to get me to not get behind the wheel. Don't drink and drive, kids. And also, don't listen to Luca at his Foundation Youth Sports Academy when he teaches you how to bitch to the refs. Anyway, here's my season. 45 points in 8 games, 20 rebounds, 12 dimes. I shot 55% from the floor, and yet I never play. Honestly, those are some sick numbers for, honestly, for a guy that never plays, an old bum like me. 18 was my season high, and I shoot 55% from the floor. Who in the NBA shoots 55% from the floor besides no one?
Hey, just shoot. And I want to apologize. Before we came out of a commercial break, I called Ferrall Jack Haley. After disrespect to Ferrall, I'm going to go with, ready? Scott Williams of the Bulls teams that won 3 in a row. Scott Williams, sometimes he didn't play in some of the bigger games, but in some of those other games, serviceable big man, threw them Bulls around, hit a couple of shots. Shout out to Scotty Williams Ferrall on his 12th championship. Bill who? Bill Russell, what? Who needs Russell when you got Ferrall and his 12 chips?
And how about this, Coach? And I got up this morning and I went and played ball for 90 minutes. And I got to tell you, I never hustled once the entire 90 minutes. I just kept I posted people up. I scored at will inside. And then I made great dimes I played with these 3 great players. When I play with great players, I know how to hit them when they're cutting. And I know how to get it down into the low post or above the defender. And I played this morning soaking wet after drinking last night heavily. And then just sweating it out. I think the guy guarding me, this brother named Sean, who was knocking down shots. Remember where he goes, you smell like rum. I said I had 15 of them last night, Sean.
It was just remember, folks, only 1 before the game. The 14 after is when he got home. Yeah, and I've talked to Ferrall. He's got this like Indiana cup.
Yeah.
Like a drink is like 4 drinks. Like it's like a super big gulp is that he kind of gets into. So shout out to Ferrall winning the chip last night. It's nice. And Chop is off to a good start, so that's good. Chop, this is Uncle JY here,
They're
Uncle
better.
Coach.
They're better. Her team is better.
Keep shooting the ball.
She had a tough time being shadowed. This girl was all over her. She made 4 threes in the first half. So they came out in the second half, and this girl was literally stink on Shaq all over her, in her face. Never left her. She was up in her face, running right in her face the entire second half. She never touched the ball. And that's why I call the head coach available. She's always available to coach. She just doesn't know how to coach. Can you set an effing screen for the girl? She's the only guy that can shoot on the whole team. And you can't get someone to stick their body on her defender and get her free and get her the rock. How stupid are you? Honestly, now I hope she doesn't watch my show, but she is misavailable. And if I coach, I could coach him drunk and I'd win 20 games with a movement, motion, Bob Knight offense, setting screens and movement. And coach would win 30 games and a state championship. This girl, I went to the game. So I have to tell you this. I may keep you on 2 segments. I went to the game Saturday, right? And I'm sitting there with 34C and her trainer, my guy Maserati. He trains her around here long before you came into her life. So he goes to the games and watches her. And he was a high school state champion twice and a phenom as a child player in high school. His dad was a legendary coach at Teaneck. And he's sitting at the game. My wife's sitting at the game. And I'm just going nuts. Like, I'm losing my mind. Like, I can't even watch them. Their offense is so zip. They have that zip offense. And it's so awful. And it's like, I don't want to be mean here, but it really is kind of palsy. No offense to anyone. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm saying, like, when they throw the ball to these girls, they can't catch it. They're like, oh, and the ball goes out of bounds. They just move it and pass it until someone makes a mistake. They never get a shot off. And I'm sitting there going, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, oh my God, she can't even hit a left. And then my wife and this guy are telling me to shut up because I'm so loud and my voice carries. And I'm like, you know what? It's either you want me to come to the game or you don't. I mean, honestly, like, I can't watch crappy basketball, coach, and not be affected emotionally where I start cussing like Bob Knight and watching the game. I can't even stand it. When I watch crappy basketball and I'm in the stands, I just can't control myself. I'm going to have a stroke.
Listen, we may have to get you some kind of help. I mean, this is some serious business here, you know. Listen, for folks who don't notice, Ferrall's my guy, right? And Chop's like my niece. So as a coach, anytime
you went to her game, and she was so bad in that game at Hoop Heaven or whatever it was called. What was it down that place
Hoop
down
Group.
there? We went Hoop Group. And they were so bad. This is what he said to me. He goes, right in the middle of the game, they're getting schooled by 25. He goes, "You want a popcorn?" And he left. He never came.
I'll tell you what.
That was a
great popcorn, though.
Don't tell me. I know you like the back of my hand. I know your girl. I know your girls. I know everything. I know where you drink in the summer. Do not lie to me. You'll get mad watching crappy basketball. You do.
Anyway, speaking of crappy basketball, what about last night, Ferrall, in the city of brotherly love? I mean, yeah. Joel Embiid. I mean, this guy. This guy was going to beat up a female referee.
Yeah,
and by the way, shout out to the ref. Shout out to whatever her name was for not only throwing out Joel Embiid, but the Andre Drummond. You're tossed. No. I messed up. You're not tossed. And here comes Andre Drummond coming out of the locker room like it's Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania, putting his jersey back on. Shout out to that train wreck of a game last night and the train wreck we call the Philadelphia 76ers.
So give me plays for tomorrow. They're telling me one segment. We got to keep moving here. So
wait, what segment?
Tomorrow on Christmas. And you think they'd let you stay on for a double and tell me about your Christmas plans?
It's terrible. I can't believe they're doing this to me. But listen, I'm on for two, but that's okay. I'll tell them anyway. Knicks -9 versus San Antonio. Listen. I think the Knicks get the job done. Timberwolves +5.5. This is a player because I think they're so bad they got to turn it around. Embiid double. Listen, Ferrall, it was crazy how he got thrown out of the game. I think he gets a double tomorrow, and he gets. I'm not saying they win or cover. He'll be okay. And then Aaron Gordon, sneaky bet over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think he gets their points and rebounds. Won't even need the assists.
All right, so I forget which segment. Is this the one we go out now or at the bottom? Because I'll bring him back for another dose of Coach Young because I am not satisfied with this at this level. Well, It's Christmas Eve. We need to take our game to an entirely different level. Like, we used to do 4-hour shows together. What is this 10-minute bullshit? I can't. What can I accomplish in 10 minutes? I don't even get sweating yet. I can't even score 15 points until I've been out there at least a half hour.
You got to sweat out the rum, though. The rum. You got to sweat out the rum.
I can sweat out the rum.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
It just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays, Ben, than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddies, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Coach, in your opinion, if you had a kid like Chop that could shoot like she does, and someone's all over her like a shadow, and they realize that she can score, so there's no high school coach in New Jersey that won't, or New York that won't shut that down. Like we're at halftime, they're like we gotta stop 35. She's just scoring too much. So how do you tell a coach that can't coach? How do you tell her? I told Chop to say something in practice or in the huddle, like, to either her or the assistant. She's like, can't you get me like some screens and get me open? Can't we set up something to get me open? Like, did you see me guarded by this girl on Saturday? This girl shut her down. Like, I mean, it was like the LA freeway at 5:00, shut down. I mean, she never scored again. She never touched the ball again. And I was like, I said to her, you got to tell them in a huddle or at practice, you got to set screens for me. What are we doing here? Because if I go over and tell her, my wife's going to divorce me. Like, she wants me to not go to any games. I told the ref, she got tackled, Chop, on a play. She got tackled and there was no call. But every time they touched this other team, they went to the line. And I was like, what is this, the NFL? And my voice bounced off 4 walls in this gym, this small gym. And
hey, listen.
34C, she's at halftime, she sat next to the guy on the other side of me. She wouldn't sit next to me anymore. She don't want to know me because I can't take it. I just can't. I can't take it. What do I do? What do I do in this conundrum?
Well, first things first, Ferrall. I mean, I think Steph's got about 48 other reasons why she may divorce you than screaming at a basketball game. I've met Steph. There's other things that I'm not airing your dirty laundry on the air. But listen, Ferrall, very simply put,
Frank, and the tequila.
Listen, you got to run off screens, Ferrall. I mean, it's simply put, you just can't. Just don't put baby in the corner. You know what I'm saying? She can run a dribble handoff, send a fake wake screen, send her back, flare screen action, staggers. Hey, I'm gonna be like Bubba Gump, right? From Forrest Gump. There's back screens, there's flex screens, there's double screens, there's down screens, there's flare screens, there's elevator screens, there's pin down screens, there's screens on the ball, there's screens off the ball, there's screens on inbounds plays, there's screens off the press, there's screens in transition. Just set the girl a damn screen. That's all I want you to do. Set her a screen and Chop will get fixed. And if she doesn't make the shot, send her to Coach Young. I'll fix her footwork.
Listen, obviously I could send her to you. I love driving 2 hours to your house. I mean, I got to tell you, it's like driving to Atlantic City. I can't get enough of it. Let me go down there once a week. When I drove the Hoop Group, I wanted to kill myself. You remember the one day I lost my glasses there in the parking lot? I mean, Jesus Christ. It was just one thing after the next. Remember the day we went there and it was like a typhoon raining? And I ran out to my car and my glasses fell out of my pocket and I lost them. Someone drove over them. They were my favorite pair of glasses, too. They were like the ones I'd wear to watch TV and to go to a movie or to go to a game, and they're gone, long gone. That place is bad luck. I don't like that place. What is the deal with the Lakers? Because they suck, and they're not going anywhere. And I know they got Old Man River, had a triple-double last night. They still lost to the Pistons. What is wrong with them? What is wrong with the Dubs? They're playing tomorrow against each other in San Francisco. They both suck.
Oh, they both suck, and I'll be honest with you. I don't think, even though they're sitting at 7th and 8th place, I don't know if either one of them makes the playoffs. Because if you think about it, right underneath them is San Antonio, Minnesota, Phoenix, Sacramento. I think all four of those teams are better than the Lakers and the Warriors. Listen, the Warriors have not been good since the start of the season. They've tried to switch things up, not working. When it comes to the Lakers, I mean, let's be honest here, folks. Who do they got? Besides their top three, and I'll give you Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, pumpkin. Hachimura, can't do it night in, night out. Connect will be good. Max Christie, Jackson Hayes, he's in the league. Gabe Vincent left the Heat. When you leave the Heat, you leave your game. Cam Reddish, because you might as well call him Cam Radish. Hood Shafino,
I like radishes.
He's stuck in the hood. I mean, so when you look at this team, Brian James has played 7 games too, by the way. But when you look at this team, they're not any good. And I'm going to say this. Does LeBron, if he wants a ring chase, say, I want out of LA? After he made them draft his son, does LeBron say, get me up out of here? Because I'll tell you right now, Ferrall, they're not making the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, they're definitely not making it out of the first round.
Well, let's say they don't make the playoffs. I say he still plays this year out with the Lakers, and I am not certain that he plays next year. I think it's catching up to him. His body is getting beat up, and he's spending 2-3 hours a day in basically reflexology and therapy to get his body ready to play. Playing back-to-backs are killing him. I want to ask you about Hartenstein and Caruso. I thought that was a brilliant front office move to bring them on that young team. And then they gave Caruso a big deal the other day. And you already know Hartenstein's a badass. The Knicks couldn't pay him what the Thunder could. And he finally got his bag. But he's a badass, too. He knows how to foul, and he knows how to rip, and he knows how to finish. And he makes free throws.
5 points a game. The guy got $20 million. It's for his defense. Between him, Lou Dort, and Kason Wallace, they may have the best trio of guards defending in the NBA. And then you get Hartenstein with a rim protector and has showed the ability to score more. That has been a great story. We talked about it. And 2 other great stories really quick. Number one, the evolution of Tom Thibodeau. We need to give this guy credit because this team shares the ball as good as any Knicks team, ready, folks, since the early 70s. Go look it up. And coach of the year, folks, Jamal Mosley. He loses Banchero. He loses Franz. Then he loses Mo. And then he goes and he beats the Celtics at home. Jamal Mosley, coach of the year.
I think Auburn's the best team in college basketball.
Hands down, the best team in college basketball. And the SEC is the best conference. And don't even debate me on any other league.
How about Nescu in the 3-on-3? How do you think she'll do? She got a big deal.
She got a big deal. I heard a rumor. Satu Sabli, maybe to the Liberty next year.
Whoa, slow down.
Need help with your NFL picks? Get NFL insider knowledge from Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden injury advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, player props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Get a free week now with promo code SportsGrid at SickScore.com.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
So I had no idea that Frank and Carver Hodges told me that Coach was scheduled for 2. I thought it was just me, like, just wanting to continue talking rack with Coach. I had no idea. And then Frank yelled, look at the rundown, idiot face.
Yeah, he was in for 2.
Frank.
It's a Christmas present. Extra rack with Coach on Christmas Eve, you know, just trying to keep it moving along. So there you go. You're all set for Wednesday now with 5 games in the NBA.
Alcoholism, food poisoning, gambling.
Well, let's get you now ready. I know it's stressing you out. The high school basketball stuff is stressing you out as well. Let's now go to the football. Of course, we're going to have football on Christmas Day as well. We did have a game last night. It wasn't that great. Packers beat the Saints 34-0. Actually, it was the first shutout in the NFL this season. The Packers really didn't have to do much. Josh Jacobs basically barely played in the second half, but he did get himself a touchdown in the first half on Westwood One Sports.
First and goal at the 2. Love under center. Snap, spin. It's a handoff. Jacobs over the left guard. Bulldozing in. Touchdown, Green Bay. Another one. 2 Packer possessions. 2 Packer touchdowns.
So they are 11-4. They got their 5th postseason in 6 years. First shutout since beating Seattle 17-0 and 21 in November. And the Saints fell to 5-10. They were shut out for the first time since losing 13-7 to San Francisco in 22.
Yeah, that's amazing. First shutout of the season in the NFL. But scoring's, of course, up, so you get more points. Here is Matt LaFleur, proud of his team after the big effort. Everyone contributed.
Yeah, I would say so. And what's really cool is you're getting contributions from a lot of different people. So I think that is usually the mark of a good team. You got to stay healthy and continue to build on what you've done. And, but I love the energy of our group. Our guys show up ready to work, willing to work every day. And we got to continue to push one another to be at our best, because this is the time when you need to be playing your best ball.
Okay, so you talk about everybody getting involved. Jacobs scored for the 6th straight game. and they had 188 yards rushing on the ground. Brooks and Wilson had 1-yard TDs. Wicks had a 2-yard TD catch. McManus kicked a couple field goals. Everyone was eating at Lambeau.
Yes, they were. And Christian Watson did leave that game. I know he gets hurt all the time. It sounds like it wasn't serious bone bruise for him. They said there's a chance he could play Sunday, which is against the Vikings. Now, here's the NFC as we head into the final 2 weeks of the season. Lions, Eagles, Vikings, and Packers have clinched spots. That means there's 3 more up for grabs. The Rams and the Falcons have the pole position in the South and the West. Washington currently in that last wild card spot. The Bucs and Seattle hanging by a thread. I was looking at all the clinching scenarios for this week. You could have the entire NFC field set, not the order, but the field set by the end of this weekend.
Yeah, I think the Falcons are going to lose to the Commanders and F this up nice and juicy. I still think the Buccaneers are live. I didn't think they did themselves any favors Sunday night losing to Dallas on a road, but it's like Morency said, it's a week-to-week league. One day you're everybody's darling, the next week you're everybody's double. 1 week you're good, the next week you're bad. So the Buccaneers couldn't get it going. I thought, you look at what Dallas did to them. They kind of took Evans out of the game. I mean, that was their goal, and they did it. And so I think everyone thinks that Atlanta's in this cushy position because they have the tiebreakers, because they beat Tampa twice. They can't afford to lose. They got to win out. And I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either. Whether it's Washington this week or, as I said to you yesterday, I think Carolina will, give one of these two teams in the next 2 weeks a hard time, whether that's Tampa this week or Atlanta next week. I think they're going to make it difficult on them. AFC side quickly, Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans. For now, with the Ravens, Chargers, and Broncos in, Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals still holding out hope that they can sneak in the back door the last 2 weeks.
I mean, if the Steelers up this up anymore, the Ravens are going to win the North. And it starts tomorrow. If they lose this game, I think they're dead meat. They'll end up a wild card. And I still think they'll get a game at home. I certainly hope so, since I've bought tickets and hotel rooms and everything else for the
they will not.
The 11 12. They will not get home.
They will not. No.
Bro, you
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
they just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Dadiers, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. When he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
right, so here we go. We got all these, most bet teams to win the Super Bowl. Where are we at along those lines?
Well, I only wanted to show you this for one reason, because I thought it was funny and you'd get a good laugh. Of the top 10 teams most bet to win the Super Bowl, there they all are. Lions, of course, 15%. Only one has the big X next to them, as in they're eliminated and they won't be winning the Super Bowl, and that's the 49ers, who had 5.3% of the bets to win the Super Bowl. You can cross them off the list. They are on the naughty list. They're out. Done. Finished. Kaput.
What a shame. I'll tell you what, the Eagles, to me, at that number is just insanity. The fact that they only have 6% of the bets is pathetic, because they're a dangerous football team that can win and go to the NFC Championship game. And everyone's favorite darling is the Lions, who have, they've spit the, acorn out in terms of, all the injuries, and that they're unbeatable and all this other stuff. So we saw them lose, and now they got all these injuries. Let's see them win it against Philly. Now, I know they got that Ford Field going for them, but, I saw Baker Mayfield go in there last year. He had the ball with a chance to win the game at the end, and he threw a pick and blew it. They could have won that game. And then they made it to the NFC Championship, and they vomited all over their bib, and they were up 24-3, and they lost with their crazy coach who goes for it on fourth down every time. And in the playoffs, good teams are going to shut down fourth downs. That's just all there is to it. So I don't think anyone knows who's playing in the Super Bowl. I heard Lions and Bills 1,000 times on this network. I've seen Lions and Bills on ESPN 1,000 times, and I'll believe it when I see it. It's amazing to me, I hate to say it, that, the Bills and, frankly, the Ravens, I'll say the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are going now at all to the Super Bowl. But they all get mentioned above the Chiefs, who are 14-1. And they've won 2 Super Bowls in a row. And the people are hanging their hats on that no team has ever won 3 in a row. That's what they're hanging their hats on. Well, dying ain't much of a living, boy. It's a tough way to make a living. Betting against them, the same as tomorrow against the Steelers. And then in the playoffs, they're going to play all their games at Arrowhead. They're not losing. And you know what? They own the Bills in the postseason. I mean, they are their kryptonite. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah, I would not be hanging my hat on just, nobody's won 3 in a row. I think that they are, as you know, I'm very dangerous seeing them down the line, staring me in the face, hopefully. Another AFC championship game. Let's get to Week 17. It starts tomorrow on a Wednesday. Are you kidding me? Why? Because it's Christmas Day, and the NFL has to make sure that they are wedging in on the Christmas action, even though it's a day of the week that they usually are not a part of. But the place the Steelers play is where we will start. The Chiefs and the Steelers, as we do every week here on Coast to Coast before a Steeler game. Mike Tomlin's weekly words of wisdom.
There's a reason why they're pursuing their 3rd straight championship. You see it when you watch their video. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how solid and competitive they are in special teams. This is a 3-phase outfit, and that's why they're 14-1. They've been in a lot of close ball games, but good teams find a way to win those games, and they've done so really consistently. And I just think it reflects who they are. And so we're working on a short week, but we're working with an edge. We're honored and excited about competing on Christmas and being a part of that. But we're also excited about being in a big game against a really good team in our home venue and getting back to the business. And obviously our business is winning. And so that's where our focus is in terms of preparing ourselves and positioning ourselves to do that on Wednesday.
So what happens if they beat them? Do they win the North?
Well, no, they would not win the North straight away. Now, if the Ravens lost, I would have to go and check all those calculations. I don't think they would officially clinch it, but that would mean a win over the Bengals would absolutely clinch the North for them. So if they won tomorrow and the Ravens lost, you would have yourself pretty much all the way there in terms of clinching that division. Now, last year, I know it was a long time ago, but try to remember, The Chiefs played on Christmas Day last year against the Raiders at home, and they laid a massive egg. They lost at home to the Raiders on Christmas Day last year. So it is possible for them to do that. Now, of course, they never lost again after that and went on to win the Super Bowl. Mahomes does not want to put on a bad performance 2 Christmases in a row.
Not just a loss. That was a pretty embarrassing loss, and everybody was watching because it's Christmas Day, and so obviously it sparked us to win the Super Bowl, so it ended up working out, but you want to make sure that you go out there and put up a better performance for everybody to see.
I want to see them lose, and I want to see them lose to anyone in the playoffs. I do not want to talk about them again for 2 weeks at the end of the NFL season leading up to the Super Bowl. I just can't do it again. Honestly, I'm gonna go crazy. I'm going to end up in a rubber room. If I have to talk about them again every year they're in the Super Bowl, I'm, sick and tired of it. Give me anyone but. I don't even care who it is.
Yeah, that would be nice. And hopefully, I wouldn't mind if they lost 2 Christmases in a row either. Just not do the same thing they did last year and spur them on a run to winning the Super Bowl. Down to -2.5. So it was 3, I think, yesterday when I spoke with you. -2.5 for the Chiefs at the place the Steelers play. Total is 43.5.
God, I just am scared to death of them. Like, betting against this guy's crazy. Give me the Chiefs. I hope the Steelers win and cover. I pray to God they do. I'll eat it. I'll eat the hoagie, without a doubt, with jalapenos on it. But I need, the reality here is you don't bet against this guy. I know they don't cover all the time, and they covered last week, right, against Houston, and now that they're sniffing the 1 seed and home field throughout, I think they're playing better than ever, and I think they'll beat the Steelers. I hope it doesn't happen. I pray to God it doesn't happen.
I have a problem. I like to go after the Chiefs. I don't know why I do it to myself. It's such bad business. They usually end up getting me at the end of the day. But I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Steeler pride on Christmas Day at the place the Steelers play, giving the Chiefs their 2nd loss of the season. And you will be re-energized in your faith of the Pittsburgh Steelers after these past 2 weeks where they've lost and they've got you down a little bit. You will be re-energized after they beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs on Wednesday afternoon, Christmas Day,
and will
at
they
the place the
Bengals
Steelers
in
play.
The last game that I go to.
Yes, because no matter what, if they win tomorrow, no matter what the Ravens do, they'll have a chance to win the North with that game against the Bengals. So if they win tomorrow, they can win the North the next week, no matter what. So, yes, I do believe that you will see a big-time performance from them. And I will tell you, we did this going into the break last segment. If they're a wild card, they will not have a home game that weekend. They only get a home game if they win the division, because now in the new format, 3 division winners host wild card weekend, 3 wild cards go on the road. So you would have to either take a trip to Houston or, let's say, Baltimore. One of those places is where you might go, as opposed to going to the place the Steelers play. So that's going to be in your plans for that wild card weekend if you don't win the division.
I'm screwed. I mean, I bought plane tickets, hotels.
And the worst part is,
I'm staying at the 5-star Willie Penn. I got it all planned out, and now you're telling me I'm going on the road. The humanity of it all. What am I going to do?
The worst part will be is
Reno,
they won't even give you the ticket money back. They'll just roll it into next year. They'll be like, they won't even give you the ticket money.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Played a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
It just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays, Ben, than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Dadiers, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
All right, we're still talking Pain Day because there's another game as well tomorrow at 4:30 on Christmas Day. It's the Texans and the Ravens in the Charm City at the Bank.
It certainly is, and obviously the biggest job for the Texans and their defense is going to be stopping Lamar Jackson. That is not an easy job. Here's what D'Amico Ryans has to say about that.
Yeah, really good football. I think Lamar is playing some of the best football he's played. Like, he's definitely jumps off the tape as the best player I've seen this year. Talk about an MVP. He's definitely the MVP in my mind, just for what he's doing, not only run game wise, but throwing the football, the accuracy, the decision making. Like, he's playing unbelievable ball right now. So it's going to be a really tough challenge for us this week.
It's amazing to me how Josh Allen had the MVP already delivered to his mantle above his fireplace, and now suddenly, in a matter of 2 weeks, he's not going to win the MVP.
It's over. Everybody made sure on all these places to stop that. That wasn't allowed. He hasn't won any. No. That's a hard no from everybody. As soon as they did that after the Lion game, the MVP's over. Everyone said, no, it's not. What are you talking about? Lamar, blah, 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 blah. Lamar's got better numbers. Allen had better. Allen had better numbers than Lamar last year, but Lamar won. So this year, Lamar's got some better numbers than Allen, but Allen can't win. That's not allowed. So it's Lamar. He's going to win. Done deal. Just go get it now. Allen's not allowed to win. He don't have Derrick Henry. He don't have Flowers. He don't have Andrew. He don't have all these guys. But
Lamar Jackson hasn't
not
won
allowed
any
to win.
playoff games either that matter.
He actually, he hasn't won that many playoff games, period. He's won a couple. He hasn't won as many as Josh Allen has.
Right.
Josh Allen's won a lot more playoff games than Lamar Jackson. I know that neither. And here's the bottom line, though, for anyone who wants to cry about that, too. Neither of them beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. So neither of them do. So it doesn't matter. Allen might have won a few more than Lamar. Neither of them have gotten the job done. Neither of them have been to a Super Bowl. So you can just count, slash all that as far as you want. Allen's the MVP in the NFL this year. He's got a completely different team. He doesn't have Derrick Henry. He doesn't have all the. Allen is the MVP. But they shut that down fast. So now Lamar's the MVP. Here's the other thing Lamar's not going to do, Scotty. He ain't going to miss Beyonce. Did you know Beyonce's playing at halftime of that second game between the Ravens and the Texans? And Lamar, he don't care what the coaches or anyone else thinks. he's going to go outside. He's going to check out the show.
My favorite Beyonce, to the left.
A little disappointing that she's going to be performing at a halftime show that you can't watch.
Nah, because I'm going to go out there and watch. Yeah. Go out there and watch, man. My first time seeing Beyonce perform, and it's at our game. That's dope. I'm going to go out and watch. Sorry, Hawa. Sorry, fellas.
You guys have one?
Nah, man, I'm not even thinking about the lead. I was just thinking about just seeing Beyonce for the first time. Not saying it like that. No disrespect, nah. 'Cause I know how people can take things. Pause.
So, she's smoking hot, and I would watch as well, especially when you're the MVP of the league and going to win it again because the whole thing is rigged. So you deserve to not listen to your coaches and go do whatever you want. You run the team anyway.
Yeah, that seems to be what it comes down to. They are 5.5-point favorites on the road in Houston. 46.5 is the total.
Right, so I thought it was in Baltimore.
No, in Houston, they're 5.5-point favorites. On the road for the Ravens, they're favored by that much. Is that too much for them on the road here in Houston?
Wow, I thought it was in Baltimore. I thought they played every game in Baltimore. So that changes everything. I'll take the points in Houston.
Why not? Let's go. Let's take the Texans tomorrow. Let's root for the Texans over the Ravens in the late game.
I'm going to root for the Texans all day.
I know. You're going to be rooting for them no matter what, which is, of course, very understandable. 2 games tomorrow, so that means 2 games worth of tutties. How about that? Let's go. What do you got for there? They got the Raven-Texan game there first, so we'll do that one first. I will take Lamar with the first touchdown at 11-1 in that one. Play him as the anytime 2. Christmas Day, he's probably going to go solidify that MVP that he's already won. Nico Collins plus $130 for the Texans, and Mark Andrews plus $160 for the Ravens. And as far as the Steelers and the Chiefs go with the first tutties, Jaylen Warren, I'm taking a shot. Jaylen Warren, 14-1 to score the first tutty at the place the Steelers play on Christmas Day. Pickens is back. Plus 140 for him. And Hollywood Brown returned for the Chiefs last week. I watched a little bit. You know, he got a lot of targets. He got a lot of burn. That's a big number for a guy that was getting a lot of throws from Patrick Mahomes last week. I'm going to take my shot with Hollywood Brown scoring as well for Kansas City.
And what's the kid's name? The other receiver? I'm having a brain freeze right now. Their draft pick that's so good. He's been scoring a touchdown every single week.
For which? For Kansas City? For the
tripping.
I would have to see. There's a bit they spread it around so much. There's nobody who really.
Talking about. I mean, this kid's been incredible. They're
Worthy. Xavier Worthy.
I like Worthy to score. I like Freiermuth to score again. He's been hitting for you left and right. So
yeah.
And then
plus
for the Ravens, I like your boy Zay Flowers to score, and why not King Henry and Andrews? I think they'll score. I think that'll be a wild game in Houston. Thank God it's in Houston. I thought it was in the bank.
Plus 250 for Worthy.
Wonder Beyonce wouldn't want to perform in Baltimore.
No, outside. Too cold. Plus 370 for Freiermuth. So plus 370. Big number for the Fryer.
I like that number.
And we'll see if he can get in there. So some tutties for Christmas Day. We'll come back, and I'll give you a few other things for this week, NFL-wise. I got a lot more to do with you later, too, as we're here on Christmas Eve on Coast to Coast. Getting ready for the Hawaii Bowl tonight out on the Big Island. Yeah.
The stars are out and gleaming.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
They just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddiers, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Hey, Frank, you're not a huss is. That's a pig who doesn't fly straight. Eh? How about your boy Frank?
Frank, all fired. I never heard anybody who hates Buffalo as much as Frank does. Like the Bill, he sounds like me watching the Patriots win 1,000 Super Bowls for 20 years. Do you think the Bills ever won anything? How much he hates Josh Allen and the Bills? I mean, honestly, the Jets were the no doubt about it. Going to the Super Bowl on skates this year. And then guess what they were? The Jets always jet at the end of the day. And that's precisely what happened to them again this year. The Seahawks are still alive in the NFC West. They are a game behind the Rams, but they need to get to work. That will start Thursday night in Chicago against the Bears. Here is Seattle head coach Mike McDonald. Says the Seahawks still alive, and they have to play like it.
We had our opportunities. We had our opportunities to win the game. You got to give the Vikings a lot of credit with
that out real nice, huh, Mike?
their track record in tight games like that, being able to play well when it matters most, and we fell short. So we got to move on. We got to go. Kind of the destiny out of our hands right now, and that stings. But we got a lot to play for still, and we're talking about this morning with our staff. Like we're just going to keep hammering away until this thing cracks.
No, keep on hammering.
And I think it's
keep hammering.
I think it's right there.
Keep hammering away.
Seattle's going to win that game because the Bears smell like dog doo-doo. And shout out to Mick Aussie down under. You got to give Mick a little love today out of nowhere, Carver.
Everyone loves Mick.
In the middle of the show, everyone loves Mick.
Everyone loves Mick. Seahawks -3.5 Thursday night in Chicago. 43.5 is the total for there. You would think that's how it's going to be. The Lions will not play until Monday night. Now, there is a scenario where that Lion game in San Francisco Monday night would mean nothing to them. If the Vikings win on Sunday, then the Lions really doesn't matter because they're playing the Vikings the next week anyway with a chance to win the North and the 1 seed. Dan Campbell says, if you think that I'm sitting anybody for any reason whatsoever, You're absolutely nuts. Here's Coach.
Yeah, I'll make this easy for everybody. That way all the critics can jump out and start attacking. But that way you don't have to debate them anymore. We're bringing everything we got to this game, and we are playing, and I don't care what it looks like and where it's at or who's this, who's that. We're going out to play and win this game out on the West Coast. So there you go.
Well, I think they will win this game because the Niners, their egg is already broke. They're done. Put a fork in them. It does not matter. When a team's already Gladbag City, they just want to get it over with. They don't even care about the game. They have no reason at all to win that game. None.
Zero.
And the Lions are better than them. They were better than them last year when they butchered that NFC Championship game, and it was because of Dan Campbell and all of his stupid in-game decisions. If he does it again in the playoffs this year, same thing's going to happen. He's going to lose a game. You keep risking everything on fourth down in the NFL, pain day always comes back to haunt you.
Pain day always comes back to haunt you. Lions -3.5 Monday night in Santa Clara against the 49ers. Now, the other game in the NFC North is key, too. We saw the Packers win last night. They're in Minnesota Sunday, late window, 425. Vikings -1.5, 48.5 total. Of course, the Vikings looking to win and make sure they win. They know they'll be playing for the 1 seed and the NFC North the following week against Detroit.
I mean, they've won, 9 of 11, the Packers? They're on fire, just like Minnesota is. I may take a risk and take the Packers in the bank in Minneapolis.
You know, Vikings did beat them in Green Bay. It was way back in September. Vikings have beaten them once this year. Return of serve. Packers beat them at their place, and they split. Road team winning both times. I could see it. I think the Packers are better than the Vikings. I really do, and I think you do as well. I know the Vikings are going to finish ahead of them, but I'm going to go with the Packers along with you coming up on Sunday. All right. After Denny, because you got Denny next, when you're done with Denny, I got to play you these last couple of things. I got a good Sirianni and Antonio Pierce that we have to get to before we get out of here. And then I'll have some college bowl stuff for you, some other hockey stuff.
We have drunk again on Christmas Eve on Coast to Coast.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
They just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Dadiers, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like, no. Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. If Well, he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.